Slow horses, spies, coats, conspiracy. One of the just one of the best TV shows at the moment, and it is my pleasure again to be joined by Mr. Chris Connor. How are you, Chris?
Hi, yeah, I'm good, thank you.
How's
Doing
it going?
well. It's great to be back.
Great to have you back. And yeah, Chris writes for the Flickering Myth and all publications, so please go check him out. He's
Yeah,
actually you know, film, TV, music,
yeah, do a bit well. A bit of music, yeah, done a bit more lately,
that's
which is good.
everything. Just proper journalist. So don't be scared to go read his work. He actually does really, really good reviews here and there, and it's really, really objective.
Thank you.
I'm not saying that because it's staring at me. I'm actually saying that because I've read it. I've read a couple of those, and yeah, just quite impressive. It's quite nice and short as well. So yeah, guys, please go check him out. But today, Chris will be joining us to be talking about Slow Horses, season 3, episode 3 and 4, negotiating with tigers and uninvited guests, which are both directed by Saul Metzstein and based on the books from Mick Herron.
hmm
And just kind of get into the episode, I feel this is where things start ramping up, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this series has been quite fast paced anyway, because you had like the bit in Istanbul at the start of episode one, and
Hmm.
then the getting River to break into the park in episode two.
Yeah,
But yeah, across both these episodes, there's like never a moment where there's not something happening. There's kind of tension, there's surprises, twists, new things being introduced we didn't know about. Yeah, and it never kind of goes where you expect it to go.
no. I think the first time, I mean, just watching it, because after the first two, so just to recap, after the first two episodes, sort of realized that this massive action sequence was just a massive test
Mhm.
on the MI5 security system, and this two episodes delve into the results from that test and how kind of things have gone. Things aren't really what they seem to be, but they are, but they're not. And I guess, as you mentioned, it just keeps on surprising us, doesn't it? So I guess in these episodes, it kind of centers around a the grey books, which is I've always wanted to use this word in the podcast, which is the MacGuffin, which is the MacGuffin. That's
Yeah.
some some TV film language lingo for you guys. But it's basically so just to kind of I keep on going all around the place because this episode just scrambled my brain, basically took it all around the place. But the Tiger team, led by the Sean Donovan, are who are actually who you think were the testing supposed to test for the MI5 system, right? But it sort of turns out that they're not actually, and they've got other motivations at hand. And I mean, when the exchange was supposed to happen with Standish at the car, and just like everything was successful with the security defense team, and it's like everything's nice, let's go for a drink, but he sort of realizes he's like can't go for a drink, he's an actual alcoholic. But then he then pulls his gun out, and you're like, oh, okay, this is a twist and a twist. What did you think about that scene?
Yeah, I mean, the way they kind of held it back, you're like, oh, is she going to get let go in episode three, And then this is what we really want,
Hmm.
that was good, or you're not going yet. But they kind of do it really well. And so it never feels like, oh, here's a twist for the sake of having a twist. I
Yeah,
feel
it
like
kind
what
of
the books and show do really well is just like each twist kind of feels earned
yes,
and like there's a
absolutely.
reason for it. And because some of this stuff can just be like, oh, there's way too many twists, and it gets all like Sherlock sometimes was a bit like that,
Hmm.
where it's like this person's not actually who you thought they were. Um,
Yeah.
but here it's like there are changes and things, but it's still like easy to follow, and you can kind of
Mm.
see them coming.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Sherlock was 90-minute Sherlock episode. Christ, that was something else. I mean, they were good, but it kind of got a bit rough later on. And but I mean, I guess back to Slow Horses. This first time I watched it, I've watched this twice now. The first time I watched it, I was like, oh, okay. I kind of woke up a little bit. I was like, what the hell is going on here? Because you sort of realize we're only 3 episodes in, still about 3 episodes to go, and you're like, this surely they kind of exchange Spanish, and that be the end of that. Then you're sort of expecting it, but it sort of builds up really well, and you're kind of expecting it, but it still pays off well, and it's kind of earned, like you've mentioned. And I feel that was really, really well done. And I feel with along with the episode, you kind of realize, or the layers of the onion start peeling itself back, and I guess the motivations for Sean Donovan and his 12 accomplices, which we then later realize or find out that they're actually siblings of the Allison Dunn, who was the ex MI5 lady who was killed in the first episode, wasn't she?
Hmm. Yeah, and I can't remember if that's directly from the book, but that was quite a neat way of showing who he was working with and how why they're doing what they're doing.
Hmm.
Which is more episode 4 than episode 3, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I guess episode 3 was more about, well, this was a test, wasn't it? Oh, actually, it wasn't a test. Oh, actually, it wasn't a test after our dear boy, Mr. Spider, Mr. James Webb, with the
Yeah, and
unfortunate events that happen.
they did such a good job because I think that we probably talked about this before, but
Hmm.
he doesn't last this long in the books, so he's already a goner by this point.
Hmm.
And I can't remember who is the equivalent person because the stuff in the restaurant, with the body that happens in the book,
Mm.
but making it Spider is clever because it is like, oh shit, he's still scheming after he's been shot and after he's left MI5,
Mm.
and he's still a dick. And then obviously it like leaves an impression. He's like impression on River in episode 4. He was an idiot, but he's still a bit upset because they knew each other. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that was quite something. And I feel, I mean, even before, I guess the start of the episode, we start at the Home Secretary's office, and he's having a meeting with Ingrid, who's the head of MI5 First Desk, and she's trying to, because the expectation is she's going to get fired because how can the bloody slow horses breach MI5, which is supposed to be protecting the British people. So she pretends to be fired, but she's trying to one up them by handing the resignation. But he's saying that, well, he's got his plans as well because he's trying to assist MI5 by bringing in these private defense contractors, Chieftain, which is who basically organized the Tiger Test operation, wasn't it?
hmm
And I mean, there was some commentary there about how, because it's like, why do you want Chieftain? Why not this? And it's kind of like, oh, because you've got some, there's some financial incentive for you because obviously you have an investment in the company, don't you? So obviously you want to try and make a big buck, before you leave or before something eventually happens to you as Home Secretary, because all these job positions, especially in this modern day and age, aren't, it's a short term position, isn't it? So I guess there was, because you always hear like some news about how, especially it was quite rampant in the COVID or in the pandemic, about how the health minister would subcontract some health and PPE products to someone's friend or something, and it's like, or the person or his friend went to Eton or went to the same college in Oxbridge or something, and I guess you could sort of see it here because him, Judd, the Home Secretary, and the CEO of Chieftain, Mr. Sly Monteith, which is the
Slim teeth, yeah.
best and worst name I've ever heard in my life. But you could tell that they went to the same. Well, he mentions that they went to the same school as well. So I guess Ingrid is up the creek, isn't she?
Yeah, but it's interesting how she kind of maneuvers things. So you think she's dead, and then she kind of maneuvers things into her favor. It's
It's.
interesting that Diana's not been that big a part of this series
I was going
yet.
to mention that, yeah,
Yet, I mean, I
because
think she will be in the final 2 episodes, but
yeah,
it's been more about Ingrid so far.
so far, yeah, and it's, I think, sort of piggybacking on what you've mentioned about how the tables are later turn in episode 4, where I think the episode starts as well in the same in Judd's office, but now they've realized that the Tiger Test team have their own motivations, and it's a bit more like Tiger than just a test operation. He's literally on, because I think she walks into his office and he stands up and she tells him to sit down. And you're like, oh, okay, this is see who's literally in charge right now. So I really, really found that because I think both episodes started in the same room, but the power dynamics had shifted, hadn't they?
Yeah, it's kind of gone from her handing in a resignation to her, saying we've got a plan to do, you know.
Yeah, him saying he's in weight over his head is kind of out of his depth, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he's a great character because he's like, as he said, a real life politician almost. He
Mm,
basically just does whatever he does to get what he wants, And we've already seen that in the show because he has links to that journalist in the first, whose name I can't remember, but in the first
yeah,
season.
that guy's a twat. I
Um,
didn't like him at all.
but in the books, he kind of is up and down in terms of like Diana and Ingrid and stuff, and
Mm,
he's kind of always there, whether he's in government or not. He's always like a lurking
hmm
person in the background.
Yeah, I mean, I did like that. If, I guess the thing about like spy shows, I did mention in the first episode about how it's like a travel show as well. So you're sort of going to like different parts of the world, different parts of the country. I did like that part in when I went to the restaurant. I think it's was it Anna Olivia's?
Hmm.
Is that a real restaurant? I didn't even check it up. But yeah, I wonder how much. I don't know how much the menus must be. But yeah, I like that scene where Lamb just sort of walked in and there's like
Oh, that's funny.
just walked in, and I think there was some people at the background, like two men, but both stood up, and they were so shocked by what they were seeing because he didn't align with the dress code, he didn't align with anything, and they were just so
Yeah.
aghast is the right word about what they were watching.
Is this when he's like, "How much is this bottle of wine?" And then he's like, "More than your monthly salary."
Mhm. And it's like, and he drinks it, and it's like, that's some really good wine there, and it's really, really good stuff from Mr. Gary Oldman. But I guess that's sort of the big picture about how that's the what the episode or that's how the episode develops in the sense that it was a testing operation. Oh, actually, it wasn't a testing operation. So what exactly was it?
Well, it
And
was, but it wasn't.
yes, exactly. And it's like, okay, if it's not a testing operation, then they're looking for the grey books now. And I guess to for the listeners, would you like to help our listeners
Mhm.
try to explain what grey books are?
See, I reckon this is something that we probably actually have in real life. Got to
Do you
have.
reckon?
Well, it
Do you
wouldn't be a
believe?
stretch, would it? It
Do you
wouldn't be a
not believe that we
stretch.
landed on the moon?
No, no, but like it is
I got some
basically
moon hot takes, but I will say them on the podcast.
it's basically like a book or well set of books because I don't think you actually see them, do you?
Mm,
About conspiracy theories.
mm,
Um, so stuff about the moon landings, flat earthers, probably
yeah,
JFK assassinations, all that kind of stuff. And they keep them all in this vault, which we see in episode one. Diana goes for a look around, and what's his name? Justin,
Douglas.
I
Yeah,
think. Douglas. That's it.
yeah.
Um,
Would you like a
lovable
tour?
Douglas, and he's obviously back in episode four as well.
Hmm
Um, yeah, basically, well, so they keep him under lock and key. They're not really that consequential. They're fairly throwaway because there's
hmm
nothing of national security in them. But I think they just keep files on wackos, basically.
Yeah, any single conspiracy, I think the government is like, was this really Well, it's obviously rubbish, but if it's not rubbish, let's try and
Yeah,
get
we've got to
somebody
be got
to.
to be mindful of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can always go prepare for the worst, which I guess is good in government, but still. So I mean, so it's like, are they actually? Well, if they're not a testing team, are they actually wacko conspiracy weirdos who want to know if bloody aliens are real or not? This is kind of where the show is leading us. And it's like, okay, I'm just gonna let me hop in the car. Let me just see where this is gonna take us. But at the same time, at the back of your mind, there was that, but you also have the first sequence of the TV show, which is Alison's death, and it kind of like, how is everything going to come together? Which I guess we sort of debug in the fourth or the end of the fourth episode with with Ingrid, Dame Ingrid. Actually, I should mention. I was talking to my friend the other day about like, would you like to have a Sir in your name, Sir Chris? That would be bad. Or because I'm doing exams at the moment, right? And It's like when you qualify, you have like an FIA. So I think I'm gonna be that twat who's like, whenever I can send an email or something, I'll be like George Facho, FIA, and then I'm gonna have like all the qualifications at the at the end of my name just to prove a point. But yeah, I guess that's with Dean. You kind of mentioned about Tavernier, who really doesn't really have any or minimal screen time. I guess most of her interactions in these two episodes are phone calls with Ingrid, aren't they?
Yeah,
And I think it's I've I haven't really watched. I haven't watched the last episodes, but I think there's going to be something between them. I, I'm thinking maybe there might be a power play or something, but I'm not
yeah.
sure. That's my
I kind of, if it's true to what happens in the books, I know obviously what happens, but I'm not going to
mm,
get into it too much. But if it's done in the same kind of way, then I think it'll be really interesting to watch
yeah, and
and sort of shift how things are in series four.
exactly. And I feel like it's because I think they've had like either two or three conversations, and it's been Tavernier is like, okay, I'm with you. This is happening. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's try and throw Judd into. Let's try and get him out of here. It's just me and you and everything, right? But I feel she might have something up her sleeve. But that's my prediction for the next couple of episodes.
No, that's
And
fair. I mean, the one thing I liked about, well, it's more episode four again, but that River's granddad finally shows up
yeah,
because he's kind of been absent from the show up until this point.
yeah. That scene because he's supposed to be having is it amnesia
If it's not amnesia, he's having like early
or
onset
dementia or
Alzheimer's
Alzheimer's or something. Yeah,
or
that's the
dementia, yeah. And he's obviously like forgetting things because he's like, oh, we had this conversation, 2 or 3 weeks ago about you sort of suspending your membership of this club,
hmm
and then he's like, oh, I did.
yeah. And it's like he's losing it, and I'm like, well, you're like 80, aren't you? But at the same time, it was a quite a heartwarming moment about how there was an operation that River tells him about, but she tells him about his thought process, and it's like, yeah, he's still having. I thought that was quite endearing, wasn't it?
Hmm. But also,
Good old
his granddad raised him, so he's obviously
yeah,
like got a close relationship with him.
yeah, trying to, but he just can't help himself. Just keeps on fucking it up, doesn't he? But yeah, gets back to Sean Donovan, and he's kind of wants the grey books, and Mr. James Spider is like, the Tiger operation went well. He's going to get a big bonus. He's going to have a big meeting with the Home Secretary Anne Olivier's, as I mentioned early on, and but he's like, oh, but Stanish hasn't been returned yet. So what the hell is going on? And Monteith told him to sort it out. He's not coming for dinner. Then he tries to sort it out, and he tries to act like, in Sean Donovan's words, the big man, and he gets a whack into the head and basically kills him, which is a rough way to go. And bloody Sean Donovan has been training, hasn't he, in the bloody boxing gym, because that was a big, massive hook to give somebody just to knock them out completely, terminally, um, stone cold. But I think that's sort of when the episode shifts, I'd say, because it was kind of action packed. By the same time, I was like, oh, this is all a test. Then fucking Spider dies, because because I've never read the books, and I think King Spider is one of like the main characters, kind of let's say Cartwright's sort of arch nemesis in that sense, and that's sort of the vibe they give in the show. And it's, oh shit, he's dead. Oh shit,
Especially as they were bigging him up earlier in the episode, being
exactly.
like, "Oh, I kind of helped organize this op," and then bam, he's dead.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's like, okay, I guess it reminded me of slightly of, because when I watched the first, this is spoiler guys for Game of Thrones, but like the first episode of Game of Thrones when Ned Stark's head comes off, and you're like, oh, okay, this is not Vampire Diaries I'm watching.
No,
This
but I
is
mean, Game of Thrones has like a different main character in each series
Yeah,
almost,
yeah,
because you have the
yeah.
series where Pedro Pascal's in it and he's like the main guy for that season, and then
But
he's dead.
at that time, you think Sean Bean is the main character. I think Sean Bean was probably the most recognizable
He
person
was. I mean, there were other
in season
big
one.
people there, but when it started, I think he was one of the people that got people into it because it's like James Bond and Lord of the Rings, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he was the
Big
one.
movie star.
Yeah, the more I think about it, he's probably the one I knew. I knew Lena Headley's face, but I didn't know her
Mark
face.
Addy maybe as well.
Yeah, but I think Sean Bean was
He's the big one.
who was the big one, and it's like, oh, his head is off. You're like, oh shit, then okay. I think shit just got right. I was probably like a little um diet version of how I got from the spider death, but I mean, you've read the books, so
No, I mean, reading the books, it did remind me of Game of Thrones, and
mm,
also actually Spooks, the old BBC show.
yeah.
They used to bump off cast members quite often.
Jeez, I'm about to start watching that in about
Ah, but
a month.
Game of Thrones was one of the first kind of major shows that was like consistently killing off main characters. And this and the books and the show here, because obviously we've had Min's died already. I think quite a few of the across the two or three series. A few Slough House people have died, haven't they?
Yeah,
Um, and there's a lot more it's going to happen too.
yeah.
Um,
I feel like the next two episodes. I mean, we'll get to the end of the episode about
I
like the
don't
first
think in this book anyone,
showdown that's
whether it's
about
this
to
book or
happen.
the next one, but there's a period where basically new people keep getting brought in,
Mm.
and then the core crew kind of obviously stays, but like the kind of new members keep getting bumped off.
But I
Um,
mean, I guess it's good though where we have like new people, especially. I just love the Marcus and Shirley dynamic about
they've got a great dynamic, haven't they?
they're amazing, man. And it's like if you if you keep on bringing new people like that, then it's all good. I mean, I guess it's good on the writers as well because I feel like one of the hardest things as especially as a TV writer is introducing new people in and making viewers care about them. I guess it's quite not easier, but it's easier in TV than in movies. But at the same time, it's like TV, you kind of know the sort of people, or you know the people, or you know who you want to be watching, and the occasional new character here and there. But if it's kind of like a multitude of like new people, every time people can get a bit lost. It's sort of like there's been like a massive discussion about The Wire, and there was season two where it was just like the dockers saying like, oh, okay, what the hell is going on here? But I guess with time, with the writing, I mean, good writing just kills everything. Good writing and good acting just is the result for everything. But yeah, I guess like the slow horses, what are they getting up to? Um, it's still sort of the results of the Tiger team in that sense where who's this Sean Donovan guy? Because I mean, we mentioned Marcus and Shirley early on, actually found with the help of Ho, actually
Mhm.
who's not really prominent in these two episodes, is he?
Oh, I feel like they're setting him up for a bit of a role later on. But this season so far, he's kind of been more making quips, isn't he? More like sort of comedic relief.
Doing all the Ho things.
Yeah.
So they find or Marcus and Shirley find his house after it's worth mentioning, after Lamb tells them not to enter the house. And
Break
I
into
mean
the
they
house.
obviously kick down the doors because that's what MI5 does. And yeah, kind of looking through and they realize or they solve the deeds from their end that or they know that or they've been told it's a Tiger team, but they sort of oh, okay, this is a there's a bit more than a Tiger team here, but once they're about to sort of kind of delve a bit deeper, um, some police guys kind of bust into the house because they've been phoned in about some neighbors who phoned in about them, and they bust Shirley's coke, don't they, in the pockets.
Yep.
And it's crazy because everyone has been telling her she looks a bit too wide on the job, and but we don't really know yet, do we, as viewers, that she has a coke
No,
habit?
it's that's interesting because I feel like in the first season she was in, they played down her drug habit,
Mm,
and I don't think they mentioned drugs at all in season two.
mm.
And then in this season, they
No,
kind of bring it up a bit more. Whereas I think in the book, she's like a druggie from the start, and that's one of the reasons she got fired,
yeah,
or the reason she's in Slough House. I feel like
Oh
maybe they didn't
right.
want to have a character with a drug habit
Oh,
in the
because we
show.
don't really know yet, do we? The reason why she's in Slough House, because at least for Marcus, we know that. Actually, no, we
Gambling,
don't. No,
I think.
but I think he said something about. I think it might have been in the second season about how they can't use the gambling against him because I think there's some
Mental
like
health problem or something.
mental
Yeah,
health or loophole in quotation marks that he could use. Must be for I forgot what I said for another reason or something. But they bust the drugs, they phone Lamb, and he fires both of them. So I mean, there's that in the sense where I mean, Lamb talks a lot of shit. So are they really fired? And it's like, no. Well, Marcus is like, I mean, you're the one with the coke, so you're fired. I'm not fired. I'm still here. What did you think about that scene in general?
it's pretty well done because I think it's in a sense like you've got to feel real. It's like, oh
Mm,
shit, there could be a real risk of them getting fired, but then also you're probably thinking, nah, they're main characters, they're not going to get fired. And again, kind of like knowing what happens to those two, it's like they're not actually fired, but um,
mm,
again, like they could go in a different direction with things,
mm.
but it's like how different are they going to go? You know, because generally speaking, they're quite faithful
Are they?
to how things play out. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the biggest change so far has been Spider not dying
Earlier.
in season two, basically. Oh,
Oh,
actually,
the
no.
Russians, right?
The scene where River's granddad like kills some Russians in season
Yeah.
two, that's not in the book either.
Oh, the
So they
the
like
Russian
go to River,
assassin.
they go to River's granddad's house and he shoots them. That's not
Right.
in the book.
Oh, is that not? Oh, I mean, that really worked well for the
But yeah, so what I mean
series, I
is all the
think.
changes,
Yeah.
like the changes with Spider, like having him stay as a main part of this season, worked fine.
For like 2.5 episodes, then he was gone. 3 episodes? 3 episodes, he was gone. But yeah, I think it um kind of continuing the theme about trying to decipher exactly what Sean Donovan and his crown about. I think we do 'cause after they kidnap Standish again for the second time and take it to what I believe is to be a house, we sort of realize that his two accomplices are Alison Dunn's siblings,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to get revenge for her, or it's not revenge, justice for her
Because they
for
think she was murdered by the
because they
government.
think she was murdered. And it's like, okay, this is definitely so you're kind of like, what's the relation from that to the slow books? And because they're trying to ask Standish about um, where can we find the actual grey books, where would it be found, and everything. And also, I think this might be in episode 4 about how or episode 3, one of the episodes, how they got a leak or they got a tip from someone from the inside
Mm-hmm.
about something that might have related to Alison's death. I think that's what triggered this whole set of events in the sense that I've forgotten the girl's name, Alison's sister, but
Oh God, yeah, I've gone blank, but I know who you mean.
yeah, she found Sean, who was an alcoholic, so she stopped him from drinking, and then they found the brother, and they've sort of kind of planned this entire thing,
That's really
and
yeah.
here they are trying to find something in the grey books which would provide justice to Alison's death, and yeah, that's
It was clever. I mean, it gives them motivation for what they're doing, rather than just because initially you're like, well, they want the grey book, so they're just nutters.
hmm
And then the fact they've got genuine grievances about how she was killed and whether her suicide was staged and all that kind of stuff.
hmm
Which because we don't really see it in episode one, you kind of see her arrive and then you see her dead, but you don't see like. I'm
no, the
wondering
actual action
if they
happening.
might show that in the final two episodes, because Catherine Waterston's a big actress to get for like one episode. I mean, she pops up briefly in these two episodes, but
hmm
more in like very brief flashbacks and photos. Like, there's no
Yeah.
more footage of her filming anything. They can't have hired her just for 10 minutes of filming, surely.
Well, it's Apple TV. We're gonna pay you this amount for how many, what, an hour of acting? Nice and easy work. Get
Yeah,
involved in a good show. I'm always quite like I just like when big actors and actresses just make like cameos here and there. Like I watched Inglorious Bastards the other day, and it's just a cameo. Like there's Mike Myers who's there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's Fassbender who's just was
That's
that
not
really a
really.
it's not a
Yeah,
cameo, is it?
he's one of the main parts, but it's not a massive role.
No, but I think Mike Myers was like, I want to be in a Quentin Tarantino movie. I didn't care. I think,
Yeah,
and I think he
Tarantino
has
always.
like, I think he's got English parents, so him doing the accent wasn't a problem anyway. So
No, and
yeah, I
Tarantino
do.
always has cameos in his movies, doesn't he?
Yeah, he needs to stop that. He needs to stop that ASAP. But yeah, I mean, we spoke about Cartwright early on. I'm going back to the start of the episode. I mean, he's been captured after his failed escape
Hmm.
from the park. I was about to call it the circus. Remember that from the
That's
park.
yeah, the wrong spy franchise.
I'm actually reading A Spy Who Came in from the Cold.
That's my favorite Le Carre book. I think
Yeah, I
classic,
think that's
and
probably
I think much as I think he was a fantastic writer, his books could be a bit too dense sometimes to read. Like because the really big ones they take ages to read because you're kind of wanting to absorb all the details. Whereas Spy Came in from the Cold is a couple of hundred pages.
a couple hundred
You know,
pages.
it's
Yeah,
not a big one. His early books were all really short, and then sort of Tinker Tailor onwards, they get to like sort of 500-600 pages, and
right.
I'm like, that's dense.
Yeah, I think even when he goes from like from just Cold War spy, which is I mean, because I get it's worth mentioning that himself was a spy
He was, yeah,
in MI5 and MI6. I think he actually got busted on the whole Cambridge Five sort of scandal thing. If you want to kind of go through down a deep rabbit hole, guys, just type in Cambridge Five on Wikipedia and just help yourself because I've done that one too many times. But yeah, because he was a spy as well, so he actually lived the life, didn't he?
yeah. And there's
Um,
another. Speaking of Apple TV with slow horses, there's actually a new documentary about him on Apple TV called
Him.
The Pigeon Tunnel about John le Carre, yeah,
Oh, really? Okay. I thought it was
which
about
is his
Mr.
last
Kim.
recorded interview, I think. So it's
Ah,
like him talking about his life for an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever it is. It's really good.
oh, I guess I know what I'm watching this evening then. um, yeah, it's Cartwright and I guess is locked from failed well escape after the Tiger team, the Tiger operation that he realized it was fake, and he's got his kind of reunion with Mr. Duffy, the dogs, and it's funny because he beats him up. Then he's like, he gets all cocky about how someone's gonna come and save him soon, and this is all over with. And he's like, okay, you hear the knock on the door, and it's like, all right, it's over. Then Hobbs, the other dog, who he actually whacked, I think he's bushwhacked twice, hasn't he? So the
Yeah,
first one was in the hospital with
first time in the hospital, and then last week he kind
then
of
the
garroted him
last
in the neck, didn't he?
in the groin the neck, yeah. So you know he's been owned he's owed a proper hiding, isn't he, from Hobbs? So Hobbs comes in and literally almost shatters his balls, isn't he? Just like kicks him there. It's sort of like the Casino Royale, Le Chiffre and
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought
James
about that. Yeah,
Bond. Well, probably not as brutal, but
no
something
whips.
close. Something close. Rather, he's in with just probably using it as like his boot or something. So there was that, and yeah, I mean, Cartwright what was he? Oh yeah, he's because he was with Louisa for a bit, with his granddad for a bit as well. I mean, they had like a little moment, didn't they? Him and Louisa about because she's still holding in the grief about Min's death.
Yeah,
Then
I thought
she's,
all that stuff about how upset she was,
mm,
and River asking about her, like having flings because Lamb
mhm,
obviously mentioned it, and then him about to open up about his granddad, and
yeah,
then obviously Sean turns up.
yeah, and that's I guess that's kind of where the episode sort of ends. But it's worth mentioning how we even got there in the first place because Ingrid is she's trying to clean up this mess, and this Tiger team. Well, Judd is asked to clean up this mess, and because this Tiger team, wasn't really what it seemed, so she's kind of bear the responsibility of cleaning up the mess, and she's actually asked Lamb initially to clean it up for her. But I think Lamb is just so seasoned, so experienced. He tells her to literally fuck off. And I mean, he just comes off as a joke, but at the same time, it's there's that thing about how if someone is like an old assassin or an old spy, there's a reason why they became old in that job
Hmm.
because they obviously know what they're doing. So you can literally just smell a bullshit from a mile away, and it tells her to f off. But at the same time, Cartwright, who is so opportunistic, who is so ambitious, who wants to prove everyone right, um, and I think this is probably the second time he's been got with that sort of tactic because that's how they got him for the Tiger Team test, though, isn't it?
Hmm.
Just because they knew who to call. Well, Spider knew Cartwright would bite, and at the same time, Ingrid then calls Cartwright saying, "Oh, could you just do this little task for me? It should be nice and smooth. It should be nice and everything." I'm thinking that was how it was supposed to be initially, but then she
Until she found out about the Alison Dunn connection. Yeah.
Alison Dunn connection. So I mean, it might have been just something nice and innocent, but at the same time, because I mean, when he was talking to his dad, I'm sorry, not his dad, his granddad, he was saying that there's always a game, within a game being played. So I think but he couldn't have known. But at the same time, it's like, I guess in this job, 5 minutes is a long time. 5 minutes is things move so quick that once you just obtain new information, new intel, the dynamics of a mission, dynamics of an interrogation just change immediately, don't they?
Yeah.
And yeah, kind of relates to the conversation he had with Louise about how he's always sort of trying to do the most to prove to himself and to try and I guess chasing his granddad's sort of legacy and shadow. But at the same time, once he tries way too hard, he just ends up fucking up a lot more. And I guess that's how it's ended up in Slow Horses. And but at the same time, how he gets shit done as well, because he actually still gets some stuff done. But at the same time,
Hmm.
it's yeah, it's peak for my boy. But but yeah, I think hmm, just, just thinking of if there's any more kind of plot points. I guess we've. I
I
mean,
think we've covered the plot for both episodes pretty well.
yeah. I'm just sort of feel like I've just been waffling for the entire.
No, that's all right. I mean, there's a lot happening,
There is a lot
um,
happening.
and they also set up a lot. I think you're in. I think you hit the nail on the head with Ho and Diana haven't had much to do yet,
Mm,
so I feel like those two will get more to do. But I like how they've kind of isolated the team.
mm, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like when things kind of isolate team members, it makes the stakes feel higher. So obviously we've got River and Louisa. River's obviously been with a few different people, but
Hmm.
him and Louisa's kind of the main team. And then you've got sort of Shirley and Marcus, and then actually Lamb and Ho, I guess now,
Now
because obviously
in
they're
the
kind of gearing up to get into action. The thing that confused me, and I might have just been not paying attention, but the place they've taken Catherine is in France,
that's a good
because then
pickup
suddenly
because
Sean is like, "Oh, you
yeah,
broke into the park this morning," but he was in France like just before.
yeah, because I mean when the guy from Chieftain actually escapes,
There's all French number plates, aren't
it's
they?
all French number plates and he's like bonjour, bonjour, just take me anywhere or something, and that's it. That's a good shout actually. Yeah, they are in
I don't
France.
remember the place they store Catherine in the book being in France.
Or do you know?
I think it's in the UK, but I could be wrong on that. But
So I
they
was
don't
like,
really.
why is he speaking in like why is he talking in French? But kind
And
of
why are the number plates French?
then I saw it, I was like, oh, the number it must be in France then. Duh.
But then he's suddenly back in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, Eurotunnels, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm probably overthinking it. I'm
It
probably
might have been
overthinking it.
it might have been empty that day.
But you wouldn't have been able to get from wherever in France to London that quickly.
They must be in the middle of nowhere there. I mean, it looks like quite a nice area as well in France. I like the borders of France aren't that very. I think it's Calais isn't that.
You can get nice, really nice areas in France just outside Calais. So it could
Oh
be that
really?
they're like just outside Calais and very near to the Eurotunnel.
So I know Calais is not very nice. I've been told.
No, but there is countryside all over, like northern France.
Gosh, all of my moving to France. I'm never gonna lie. But I guess Standish. as well in France because they ask her for the information. I mean, it's sort of like a weird kidnapping because they don't torture her, they don't threaten her or anything. They just sort of
They
keep
give
her
her
in that
food.
room, and it's like, what are they playing at and everything, right? But at the same time, if we could then turn to realize that this is something a bit more than bloody conspiracies and everything like that. But yeah, that's I I just really like just in this show. I just really like how the spy stuff and the politics stuff just intertwines. I
Yeah,
think I'm not the big. I don't. I follow politics here and there. I think but I think nothing. There's nothing better than a good political show. Um, like what's that show on Netflix called? I think it's called The Diplomat.
I haven't watched that yet, but that's meant to be very
Yeah,
good.
Kara Russell. It's I think she stopped being. I think it's like her post because she's on the Americans now as a Soviet spy.
But yeah, I
So
think
it's
this was
like
her first big thing after the Americans.
yeah. So it's like what happens if a Soviet spy works her way up into American politics. So it's sort of like the political aspects with the Judd character and how that's actually affecting. Because it's through him that all this bullshit is happening. Well, it might have happened anyway, but I think he's like the catalyst because of like the whole Tiger Team operation that's just been botched right now. And
Yeah,
um, yeah, just like how it's like, oh, we can't do it this way because that will actually everyone is looking out for themselves. But at the same time, the optics also matter as well because if we do it one way, we could kind of throw Judd away and we could keep our jobs, or even better, we could get promoted. But at the same time, we need to be really careful about how we, go about things. But yeah, really, really, really good episode. Was this like the episode where Lamb actually meets Sly Monteith in his car in in the Chelsea area, then farts in his car? Well, I think he smoke then fart or fart then smokes. It's just don't really care for
that
the
is funny.
sequence.
That is funny.
And
Ah,
it's like that's a bad one, and it's just really really good acting from Garrodman is just cooking, man. It's just I mean, you said he's not really acting much, but he must be having so much fun doing this. I feel like as an actor, I think Buckley, when he listens to this, can hear me out here, help me out here. I think it's really fun. Like it's one thing doing dramatic performances, right?
hmm
But doing comedy, I feel it's like just a whole different kettle of fish, isn't it?
he's he's not someone prior to this that I've always thought was really funny
Mm-mm. I wouldn't
because
think
you'll
of him like
see
a comedic actor, no.
like maybe Harry Potter or The Dark Knight. He has funny moments in those, but
Mm,
he's either playing like a tragic hero or a villain in
yeah.
something. Like
Well,
Sirius
what was
Black
that?
wasn't funny, was he?
I'll give you one though. True Romance.
Oh, I suppose he's funny in that, and even
Yeah.
Leon, the professional, he's kind of
Oh
funny in
yeah,
that
yeah, that as well.
as well.
Yeah,
But he's funny in that because he's like psychotic
yeah.
more than Lamb just being a slob.
Which
Um,
is why I always like Olivia Colman because she can do both really, really well.
she does something like The Favourite, which is basically a drama, but she is hilarious in that. Or just
Does she have?
everything she's in. She just randomly pivot from the Lost Daughter, which I don't love, but she's quite funny in that as
You'd
well.
watch Hot Fuzz, then you'd watch Broadchurch, then you'd
You wouldn't
watch
think it was the
bloody,
same person, yeah.
then you watch bloody Fleabag, where she's just a massive,
Oh, she's so
huge.
funny in that.
She's so funny in that man. It's like a kind of British funny in a way. It's just really deadpan and dry and
I
just yeah. I guess
actually
compared
think
to
Martin Freeman as well. Yeah, we talked about Sherlock as well.
oh yeah yeah
He's got
yeah
a
he
really good
is
balance between because obviously he started out in like The Office and Love
The Office
Actually,
yeah.
and then he kind of moved into basically straight out drama acting. And even in The Hobbit, he's quite funny in that as well.
I'm not a fan. I mean I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings, but I mean The Hobbit was just
He was good in it though.
for like days and off man. Lord of the Rings was. I'm gonna keep my Lord of the Rings takes
Just long.
for the movie. It's too long, man. Honestly, like I feel like because I watched all three. I came to it a bit quite late. and I watched all three movies in 3 days.
Ooh,
And I think I watched like the extended cut something. So I think one of them was like 4 hours.
I
Like,
think the thing for me with Lord of the Rings is I was like a kid when I first watched it, and I'd never seen anything like it. So same with
yeah.
Star Wars. When you first watch that kind of stuff, and you don't know anything about what makes good or bad, whatever, you're just
Mhm.
blown away by the scale of it. And I remember the first time I watched it being like, "Holy hell, this is something." If I watched it for the first time now, because there's been so many like leaps in. I mean, I think visually they're actually better than a lot of modern blockbusters. Because I think like some Marvel and not so much Star Wars, because we don't have Star Wars movies in a minute, but like Marvel films and DC films, especially, the special effects are just crap. Um, I get that that's a COVID thing, a strike thing,
Mm.
whatever, and the conditions for visual effects workers. This is completely unrelated to the horses. Sorry, I've gone off on a tangent.
No, no, this is what we
But
do on the
a lot of
Pop Confidence
blockbusters
podcast.
from 15, 20 years ago just look better and they've held
Hmm.
up better. Lord of the Rings being one of those because of the practical effects. And
Yeah.
when they use CGI, it's more like Gladiator as well.
Hmm.
All the Rome stuff in Gladiator is computer generated, but obviously the CG was new when they did that.
Mm.
But if you watch it, it actually holds up pretty well.
I mean,
Like,
even
it
talking about
still looks pretty
CG,
good.
I mean, we spoke about HAL and 2001. I watched it the other day and I was like, well, not the other day, the other month. And I was
Mhm.
like, I can't believe it's like, what, the 60s?
68, 69, something like that. It's
Crazy,
like
man. And
right between the 60s and 70s, yeah. But
I could not believe
again,
the
because
graphic.
it's so limiting, that how they use them, Hal and the spaceship, it looks so good still. And I think in 10, 15 years, it will still look good.
Yeah, I mean, Kubrick was a bloody maniac, was not, wasn't he? So,
He was
guess
he was
still,
crazy, but I think he did make some great art because of that
I really
sort
want
of
to watch Barry Lyndon.
attention to detail. Barry Lyndon's great. Oh, hang on, it's here.
Talk about long. Talk about long. Isn't that film like 4 hours or something? Look at that.
There it is. I
Show
think there's
off.
probably a couple of cuts. He did like the cut I've got here is
Mm.
185 minutes. So it's about 3 hours, but I think
No,
it earns it. But it
yeah.
was on BBC a few years ago, I think during COVID
I
actually,
think it might be
and I
on
was like,
BBC right now, actually. Because I was on iPlayer
yeah,
the
and I
other day and I
watched it
saw
in
it.
two sittings. I think I did like an hour and a half and then an hour and a half, but it flows really well. It doesn't drag. Um, but again, I didn't watch it in one sitting, so I don't know how it is in one, but it flowed really well.
I watched Killers the other day. Killers of the Flower Man. That's
I,
just.
don't- mm, I watched that at LFF at 8:30 in the morning, or maybe might even have been eight in the morning. Um, Sat through it in one go. I mean, I love Scorsese, but I don't know if that and The Irishman needed to be 3.5 hours long.
I do not
I
think it
like
is.
both though. I do like both.
I do like both really good movies, but I was like, "Ooh, well,
I think you
this is.
could have probably shaved half an hour off each.
But the thing is, like, who's going to tell Scorsese to shave up? He probably had it like, he probably proposed it like 5 hour movie, and it was like, oh,
Same with Napoleon.
I, I'm not sure if I'm going to watch that.
I
I'm
don't
sure
think
this
it's
weekend,
great.
actually.
I mean,
Anyway.
it's okay, but again, going off movies,
Well,
people.
movies, I see, I'm showing my movie bias right now, but before we probably give our salt, I haven't seen Saltburn yet, but before we give our Saltburn take, I guess we should
Saltburn's on Amazon in a couple of weeks. Might even be next week. End of next week, I think.
really,
22nd of December, something like that. He got a couple of Golden Globe noms today
yeah, I saw that. I
for
saw that.
Barry. I don't know. Is it Barry Keoghan? Is that how you pronounce his
Yeah,
name? And Rosamund Pike. So Golden Globes. I know we're talking about Slow Horses, but we can talk about that because that's the noms today. What did you think about them?
Barbie 9 nominations. What?
Yeah, I'm going to get up the list in front of me. I was just looking at
Go
it
on then.
earlier. We got 9 noms for Barbie. I think 8 for Oppenheimer. And I think Killers of the Flower Moon might have had 7. Yeah, Poor Things had 7 as well.
Yeah,
Past Lives
the
had 5, which I'm very happy about. I really like Past
I
Lives.
feel that's like one of the, like, if not the best movie so far.
May
Past Lives.
December with 4, and Anatomy of a Fall with 4. That's good.
I really want to see that.
Holdovers
Anatomy.
with 3. Holdovers is really good. And
Mm,
then Spider Man Zone of Interest with 3. Yeah,
yeah,
I,
that
I
one.
think it was the first Golden Globes, possibly ever for me, that had a really good set. Like, I think
There's been a lot of
90%.
controversy about the Golden Globes, though, haven't there?
Yeah, I think it's a shame that they've decided to pick really good nominees after all this controversy. I can't remember what the exact controversy was about, but it was about abuse and racism. It's
The
institutionalized
lot,
sexism and
basically,
racism.
just the
There were
big
three or four
melting pot.
things,
Yeah.
and I think people were like, "Are the globes still a thing?" But obviously, like network TV in the US still thinks they're a
Yeah,
thing.
it's like the
It's a
viewership was
shame.
going down. At the
It's
same
a
time,
shame,
it's
and I'm
sort of
hoping
like,
the Oscars and BAFTAs pick a similar set of nominees because these are really diverse set of nominees here. Um,
well, the Globes aren't really a good indicator about the Oscars, are they? It's more of the BAFTAs and the SAGs that
mhm.
sort of give you. And I mean, there's been
Critics'
just
Choice, I
shitloads of
guess, as well.
campaigning recently. I feel like everyone is doing that. Is it Vanity Fair sit down?
Yeah, we've had actors and actors.
Actors and actors, everyone is doing that,
Because
man.
we've
So,
had, I don't know which ones we've had so far. I think they've had the Killian Murphy and Margot Robbie one,
mm,
and they've had the Emily Blunt and Anne Hathaway one, I think, as well.
yeah, there's I think Emma Stone and
Bradley Cooper, isn't
Bradley
it? That one.
Cooper.
The one
Um,
person missing from these Vanity Fair things is Gosling. I don't know why he's not
oh,
doing them because obviously he's in Barbie.
is he a big campaign guy?
Well, he's done a lot of. He did like
La
Lad
La
Bible
Land.
stuff
Mm,
for Barbie. So I'm like, why are you not doing this?
I
But
don't
you know,
think. I think he's. I mean, I know. I guess the Academy is a lot more diverse these days, but I don't see there's any way of him being him winning for Barbie. I'm not gonna lie.
I feel like he's going to get nominated.
I have, I think so, but I've got a good feeling that De Niro is gonna win that, and that's gonna piss everyone off.
De Niro apparently has been missing out in a lot of the regional nominees so far, but he got the Golden Globe nom. I think Downey Jr. and Charles Melton for May December are the two
Ah,
favourites.
RDJ might win that. Actually, I forgot about
I
that.
think at the minute though, RDJ and Charles Melton are the favourites for that one.
May December, right? To watch that.
Yeah, but then
That's.
also you've got Ruffalo and Defoe for Poor Things, and neither of them have
Mm,
won before, so they're both overdue, I guess, as well.
I feel like Hollywood likes a good comeback story, doesn't it? It's
Downey
like,
Jr. could. I think Downey Jr. could win because it's his like first big gig post Marvel,
mm,
and it was such a hit, and he
well,
was
can
great in it.
actually act, you know? It's like, of course you can.
Well,
We
his
all
early
knew that.
stuff's all great, and he's still good in Marvel. It's just
I like it when Marvel guys just like, you can actually act. Like I rewatched Snowpiercer, which is one of my favorite films, Bong Joon-ho, and it's like, oh, Chris Evans, you can act. You can actually act. What? You know, we're like a spandex suits, but uh, yeah, I don't know. I just have a feeling that De Niro might just win best
uh,
supporting and not
I
show
feel
up
like
because it's like,
because he's not done a huge amount of really good stuff outside of like this and the R. He was really good in Killers as well, so I wouldn't have any problem with him
but I
winning.
guess to be fair, though, a lot of people did see Oppenheimer, didn't they?
hmm
I
I
can't
feel
believe
like
Oppenheimer is
Oppenheimer
about to
and
make $1 billion.
Barbie winning things would be because people went to see them, and it would like
Oppenheimer is
vindicate
about
the
to make a
whole.
billion. I can't believe that. That's
If Oppenheimer wins
mental.
Best Picture or Barbie does, then it's like Barbenheimer really did change the game and stuff.
Monumental. Like
Mhm.
that movie's about people literally talking in rooms. That's it. My friend was like, "This is a shit movie." I was like, "No, this is a great movie." Just didn't get it. It's like it's about people walking in rooms and talking. I'm like, yes. Although we do have that Trinity test scene, which is just fucking insane. Like
Oh god.
honestly, I always talk to Bankley about like what scenes made the hair on your skin to literally stand. I think that was
Yeah,
one
all the
scene.
test scenes in Oppenheimer were insane.
Sort of like the Dark Knight when, to be fair, like 3, 4 scenes in the Dark Knight literally made my hair stand. But like when the truck flipped,
Oh, that whole car chase, well,
that
car bike
was
sequence, which is what it's
that's
probably about 15 minutes. That whole sequence
that's
from
that's
start to
what we
finish,
call
it's
that's what we call
insane.
cinema. Honestly,
And the opening, actually, the opening is really
the
good as
opening
well.
was get the Hans Zimmer tunes and just bounce like I mean I'm in already, but all right, let's get out of here before we.
Sorry, yeah, we've completely gone off on
To be fair
no
though,
one.
like impromptu, good old
It's
slow
only
horses
topical
plus Golden
because
Globes reaction.
the Golden Globe noms were today. So
I mean that's what the listeners are here for there. But yeah, guys, thanks a lot for joining us. Thank you again, Chris, for talking while I waffle. It's really good
that's all
talking to
right.
you.
Thank you so much for
Nice
having
and
me on
smooth.
again.
And I mean, you can find because you write for every bloody publication, don't you?
Yeah,
What
I've done a lot of NME, Metro, Radio Times, on my Twitter, there's a link to my portfolio and things like that.
Also,
So
you can don't forget the website.
oh yeah, I've got a website as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Flicker and Myth.
Well, that's not mine.
Oh, it's not yours. Oh shit!
No,
I
no,
thought
no.
it was,
I'm a writer for them. I don't
you're
want to
right
give
for
off the
Flicker and
impression
Myth.
that's
I thought that
mine.
was
No,
your website. I was like, oh,
no.
bad.
Gary's the editor there. I'm just one of the writers.
See,
But I
but
do have my own website and portfolio and stuff.
guys, go check Chris out. Drop him a DM. Ask him actually because he's slated a couple of your favorite films and stuff. So go drop some abuse in his in his DMs. I'm sure he would appreciate it. And yeah, guys, thanks a lot for. Actually, before we go, you write for NME, right? What?
I've done one piece for them, but yes, I've written for them.
Well, you've written for them, which kind of you write for them that counts, isn't it? One is what is greater than zero. What's because I mean they mentioned today. I think it was Marcus in the episode about how I mean, Elton John is like the greatest like songwriter in the
Oh
past
yeah,
50 years. I was like,
yeah.
whoa, let's slow down there for a second there. But what's going on with rock music, man? Enemy, what's going on? Is rock dead officially?
I mean, it's a weird one because a lot of the popular rock music is kind of morphed into like indie music. I mean,
Yeah,
you've
that's
still got
true.
your Foo Fighters, Arctic Monkeys, and stuff, but they've all been around a long time. I feel like we
I'm
need
like
a
the
really
biggest.
new, exciting band. You've got a few like there's the one called The Last Dinner Party, and they just won the Brit Rising
Oh,
Star Award.
really? Ooh,
You
let's
got
check
Wet
them
Leg.
out.
You might know Wet Leg.
I've heard of Wet Leg. Yeah, I've actually
Yeah,
listened to
so
them.
you've got Wet Leg and Haler's another one. There's a few that are like kind of hovering,
Hmm.
and
I
you
mean,
got
there's
1970,
this band
1975, I guess.
from around the era. I think it's called Royal Blood or something. But they're
Yeah, Real Blood are good, but they never
uh,
quite. I don't think they quite took. They were big for like a few years and never quite took off. I think to where they should have got to.
got to support the locals. I think
It's the
they're from around
same.
the
I think
from
that's the
around the
problem
area.
with
So
the indie scene is that bands just don't take off now like they used to. And they have like a year or 2 years of being really popular, and then they never catch on. And there's also a lot of them. I feel like if you're into like indie music, there's always a new band for you to check out.
too many
And
bands.
they just never get into the kind of the charts. Basically,
Yeah,
the charts is more like pop, and then I guess like grime and R&B and things like that. So for like a rock song to hit the charts is quite rare now.
very rare. I'm just trying to imagine like a rock song trying to be a TikTok trend. If you get what I mean. That's literally the things that drive engagement and sort of determines what goes up and down the charts. But yeah, guys, guess that's the music for dinner podcast as well. But obviously, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, everything that we're doing. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I guess we'll be back next week or two. We're discussing the final couple of or 2 episodes of Slow Horses for series finale. And yeah, guys, thanks again for joining us. Just waffle on everything, nothing, and yeah, cheers. Have a good one.
Speak to you soon.